Hi and welcome to Pass Left Drafts. We are back for our second ever draft and we're going to be focused on M21 again. Last draft you saw that Dan Shipley won and he won with a very good rule deck. He is back to try and keep a hold of his crown this time, and we will be following Gareth for the draft. So if we have a look at the table, you can see the drafts that we've got today. A couple of new faces in there. Fergus, anything that you're hoping to see out of today's draft?
No, I think it'd be good to see M21 again. I'm excited to see if we can get some slightly more synergistic decks than we did the first time around. The format's been out a bit longer. People have got slightly better understanding of what their picks are and what they like in the format. So I'm hoping we get some slightly more kind of pulled together knitted decks. Maybe a bit more power because of that, but we'll see.
Yeah, people's teeth are definitely in the format. We should be knowing what's going on. I'm quite excited to get going. Shall I just look at pack one?
I think we should go straight to pack one, and I hope to see lots of shocks. Yeah, so looking at his first pack, it's quite interesting. We've got Sanctum of All as the rare, which I don't necessarily think is a good card, and definitely not a good pack on pick one. But
We
it's got
all
fun.
know your feelings about Sanctum of All.
Same as the rest of the Sanctums, to be honest. But he's got a couple of decent options here. I think Furious Rise is a good kind of build around first pick red card. I also like Hunter's Edge and Roman Ghostlight just as good cards. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like Hunter's Edge. Green's a good strong colour in this format if you get that nice green aggro deck or something like that. Hunter's Edge works really well in red, green and white, green. Removal spell, powers of your creature. It's not even a fight card; it's a punch card, so you're not risking like getting rid of it with Death Touch or anything like that. So that would be my pick in this pack.
Yeah, and that plus one counter makes that 4 mana feel a lot less painful
Yeah.
than it otherwise would in
Oh
those
yeah.
kinds of cards.
It's really relevant. I mean, if you're in green white and you get the uncommon, which doubles you, puts an additional +1/+1 counter on your creatures, or you can use on your Drowsy Tyrannodon to turn that on or something like that. There's just really good things you can do in this. In a deck with flyers, you can power up your flyers, so turn a 1/2 flyer into a 2/3 flyer, something like that. Yeah,
Sure,
really strong.
I do like Ghostlight, but looking at these options in pack two, what do you think?
Having taken the Hunter's Edge first, I think I'd just snap off that Drowsy Tyrannodon. Probably the best green common. Even better than Hunter's Edge. The two are probably in contention, but yeah, start with Hunter's Edge, Drowsy Tyrannodon. Looks like that's what he's doing.
It's a really good card, Rising Tyraniton. Big fan.
Yeah, and there's nothing really else which is amazing in here. You've got the Tempted Veteran. Now that's only really good in green white. So if you end up being cut on green, then it's not going to be a great time for you. But yeah, I think Drazen Tyrannodon. It's good in any green deck. Like it's really good in any green deck.
Yep, and I think with Hunter being you take that, I think it's the strongest card in the pack, arguably as well.
Yeah,
There's no convincing argument to stray away from it. The fact that it fits your first colour is just kind of gravy, to be honest. I think.
yeah,
Oh, so it seems like a pretty strong start.
yeah. I mean, this is kind of where you want to be. It's not a bomb rare. Go in here. Scorching Dragonfire for that still to be in the pack. That's really indicating that red is open on your right.
It would seem so, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
It's like, I like
he's
that card a lot.
yeah. You can see he's highlighted the truffle snout as well. There's a few other things in there, but yeah, I mean,
I think
pick three. That's a really strong indication that nobody's in that colour. I can't really think what the two cards that could have been better than Scorching Dragonfire could have been in this pack, but there we are.
it's hard to know. You've lost a rare and a common. So the rare, I mean, could be all sorts of different things. But a common is a good question. It's a really
Yeah,
good question. What's been taken over Scorching Dragonfire? Because Scorch, that's just a fantastic card, right? 2 mana.
ticks all the boxes. Yeah, it's really efficient. It exiles. It's instant speed. Does everything that you want. It's good at pretty much any point in the game.
Okay. So slightly weaker options in this pack, I'd say. Goblin Wizard,
Yeah,
not a bad choice.
it's quite tricky here. Feat resistance really strong as well. I think it'll be between those two, and that's really saying what line do you want to take it. If you're green red, that doesn't usually make the best use of Goblin Wizardry. That's best in a red blue deck. It can be used in other decks as well, but red blue is really where it wants to be. He's went for the Feat resistance. I don't blame him there. Scorching Dragonfire. He's got the Scorching Dragonfire there. You could splash red in a green white deck fairly happily, especially if you get another good card or two.
I was going to say, I don't know how excited you'd be to splash red with something like Scorching Dragonfire. Whether it loses its potence when it's a splash colour.
It does, but like I said earlier, the Scorching Dragonfire doesn't need to be played on turn 2. You can quite happily play that on turn 6 and get some good value out of it. So if it was a really good red 2-drop creature, I wouldn't want to play it as splash. This is interesting. He's got another Scorching Dragonfire there.
And
a
the
Tyrannodon.
In between the Dragonfire and Tyrannodon, I think I'd take the Tyrannodon.
Yeah, I think I do as well. I don't think it's the better card out of the two. I think,
Dragonfire.
For a start, Scorching Dragonfire kills Tyrannodon, but with the picks he's got so far, I think I go with Drazen Tyrannodon, but it is close.
It is close.
Really close,
I think I'd take the Magma. I like Magma, but I wouldn't take it over either of those. I think I'd take the Tyrannodon.
Yeah, it's one of those decisions that's going to come back to haunt you later in the draft, no matter which way round you take it.
I think you'd be happy with either, to be fair. I might just about lean into Dragonfire over Tyrannodon. I think so.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame you for that. Just trying to think what we've seen in those other colours in other packs. He went for the Magmut.
That I find really surprising.
Yeah, I don't like that choice. I mean, Magmut's good, but
it's a good card. I like the card, but I just think I'd rather have the removal over the 2-2.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Don't know what the thought process is there.
Options here really not fantastic. I think I'd be tempted to take that Temple of Triumph.
Yeah.
Just flexibility, because there's nothing else in there that massively excites me.
Yeah. I think I agree with you there. I mean, yeah, it's good fixing. He's potentially in those two colours or playing one on a splash, so it's a pretty strong pick. The other see that he has got highlighted is pretty good as well, though. I've had some really good times with that, especially in green white, where if you get that down and get a Basri's the 2-mana sorcery, which puts some counter on everything, that is a strong place to be in as well, especially in this format. But
I like Hobblefiend here. I like Hobblefiend in general.
Definitely keeping his options open. He's got really strong cards in 3 different colours. As he goes through, he might be able to pare that down to 2, or he might, like I said earlier, he might play 2 main with 1 as a splash.
Yeah, there's a real question here about the green stuff seems to have dried up a little bit. Makes you wonder if he gets pipped slightly on the right.
Looks like it could be. I mean, you say that, but then there was a Drazen Tyrannodon that came around as well.
Yeah, I mean, like pick 5. Yeah, no, absolutely. Or pick 4, something like that. I mean, I'm not sure there's tons of great options here, to be honest with you.
No, he's looking at Fetid Imp. It's a fine card. It's out of all the cards there, might be the best. I think I'd go for that Celestial Enforcer because it's comparable to Fetid Imp.
Sure. I think, yeah, no, I'd probably go for Enforcer just about, because at least you have some white stuff going on. A Fetid Imp is not going to be enough to support a pivot into black if you open a bomb in pack 2 or anything, so.
Yeah.
I'd take Arsonist here.
Yeah, I think I would take Arsonist here as well. It's not an amazing card. But
it's really good, but like, really? You're moving into blue? You're a bit all over the place here. I think I'd take
Ghostlight's it's the best card in the pack. He still could easily have blue as a secondary colour.
I mean, yeah, it's still pack 1. You could go in lots of different directions, but I'd be tempted to take the Arsonist there. I think it's a good card.
I think here I'd just go for the land. And you can see he's going for that as well.
Yeah.
Nothing much else really going on. He's not really settled in his colours. Leaves him open, lets him splash, lets him do anything if he gets something really good. Pack 2, sorry.
Yep. Ghostlight also not a very easy card to splash with those 2 blue pips as well. Just a side note on that pick.
Yeah, definitely. Be a 5 cost if it was. Oh, he went for the Toolman Anima, sorry, not Toolman Animist.
I think I'd take the Frost Breath there.
Yeah, I think I would as well. His deck's looking quite aggro no matter which way he plays it.
Well, it's also just a better blue card, right? Like if you're going into that sort of...
Yeah. It's good if you got one of each because then you can hold up both and see which one you need.
I suppose. I'd take this.
Another Wizardry. That's a late Wizardry. That's the same one we saw earlier as well, actually.
Okay, so the Wizardry's come round. It's taking blue cards.
It indicates that blue-red spells isn't open.
It does, and I wonder if that's what he's thinking here. I wonder if that's what's going through his head at this point.
chronic injury. That's fine at this point. He is picking up that blue stuff, so we're a bit unsure when he picked up that Roman Ghostlight, but it seems to maybe paying off for him. Another Frost Breath or a Lofty Denial. Both of them are fine.
Absolutely. Blue looks a little bit open here. I wonder if he's thinking about the spells deck here. Because you would certainly start to think it looks quite open, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So we've got Gareth here on the top left. You can see he's, as we know, not really set on his colours. He's passing to a number of drafters who are all drafting green. We thought he might be getting cut on the green on his right, but it doesn't look like that's the case. What do you think of the table as it stands here?
Yeah, so it's interesting as you pointed out. Yeah, he's definitely not being picked on green to his right, which actually makes a lot of sense because he did see a lot of nice, strong green early cards. Um,
Yeah.
But actually, there are 5 players here who've picked up green cards in this first pack, so it's clearly been popular at the table, and that's probably why it dried up so much later on. Blue as well, not very popular at all, which probably explains why he saw so many nice blue cards coming up at the end. Interesting that Matt, who's passing to him, passed over that Goblin Wizardry twice before Gareth took it.
Yeah, and he passed a couple of Scorching Dragonflies as well, so I'll be interested to see what his deck looks at the end of the draft. But yeah, so I think we're looking like we're in a. He's not too bad a place actually because he is going to pack 2. He's ready for any bomb that he opens. He can shift quite well. None of his colours are really bad. He can easily pick 2 of them and run with them and just pick up the rest of the cards he needs. He won't be dumping too much the way he's drafted. And I quite like his odds going into the next pack.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, his first pack, he's kind of moved quite dramatically, to be honest with you. I now think red is between red and blue are probably his strongest colours at this point. He's not going to get any green here with who's passing to him, so you expect him to end up in a kind of red-blue deck at the moment, based on what we've seen.
Yeah. It's also interesting to note we had this last time as well, but we've only got 3 of our drafters have first picked a rare, and one of those is a little bit dubious if you ask me. So, another draft where the rares aren't really dominating.
Which one do you take issue with on the rare pick? Is pack 1 pick 1?
The Necropotence.
The Necromentia. Necropotence would be a fine pack 1 pick 1, but Necromentia is not very good.
Necromentia.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very exciting, is it? Let's be honest. What are you naming with that? You don't even know your opponent's deck. It's no choice. I'm curious what was in his pack that made him pick that, but hey ho.
Yeah, but I mean the other 2 rares are really good. They're really strong, and there are some other rares that are going around which are fine. But yeah, just really interesting that these rares aren't really dominating the format like they do in some sets.
Absolutely. Let's see what comes next.
Yeah, let's look at pack 2. Coming at pack 2, you can see that we were talking about him leaving himself open to pick up a really big bomb. Pursuit Whale is literally a very big bomb. It's a huge creature. It's not something that you see played a lot, but in those decks that can go big, can control the pace of the game until it gets there, it can be really backbreaking for the opponent to deal with.
I think it's a deceptively good bomb, actually. So it's a 7-mana 8/8, which gives your opponent a 1/1, which doesn't sound exceptional. But that kind of last bit, where that 1/1 forces your opponent to attack, is quite backbreaking. Not only because obviously you'll be able to eat one of those creatures coming in with the 8/8, but it's going to allow you an open field to hit them in the face with an 8/8. At a late stage in the game, most opponents will struggle to survive that. It is a good card.
Yeah. So it looks like he's rearranged his deck here to go to blue-red spells, and that is the majority of what he's picked up so far.
Yep, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's in a good. He doesn't know this, but it's a good place for him to be because, as we saw, the players that are passing to him this round are. Oh, he's putting a few bits and pieces back in. But the players that are passing this round are a lot of green players, so that's probably going to get cut quite severely.
Yeah, I think Matt's gonna have a bad time this round. He doesn't even realize it. I don't know about Angelic Ascension here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. His white's still quite good, and that's probably what he's checking when he's looking down the sideboard there.
You have Lofty Denial, and I'd question how likely it is you're pivoting into white here. Because a lot of what you've picked up in the blue is very synergy dependent. You require a certain kind of tempo. It's not impossible.
I think his position on the table, he wants to be in white, looking at what he was at the table, but he doesn't know that. And he'll be feeling the pressure now to really get into a lane and draft that lane.
I agree with you.
it's fine to stay open in pack 1, but when you get in pack 2, you want to find your lane fairly quickly.
Yep, I'd be tempted to double down here. I would take Goblin Arsonist or Lofty Denial, and I'd pray for that blue-red spells tempo feel. I think Arsonist plays into that.
He's went for Angelic Ascension. It is fine. This pack, he's got a Turn to Slag there. It's not the best removal spell, but it is still removal. It is still a spell.
My question is, if you pivot into white, what is the likelihood that you're going to have a good deck here? That's my question. I think it's quite low.
So the other thing that I'm looking at here is if he's wanting to go in blue-red spells, and we know he's getting passed through from a blue-red spells player here, then he doesn't have any Spellgorger weirds. He doesn't have any of the blue-red uncommon.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But you could just play.
Experimental
You
Overload.
could just play a tempo game with some aggressive creatures and just control the board.
Yeah, you don't need them there, but they do make the deck really start.
You are right, they do. Rain of Revelation does not make a lot of sense to me when you had Frantic Inventory in there.
Yeah,
That's a really slow.
Yeah, the Frantic Inventory felt decent, but maybe just doesn't want to. Well, I suppose Rain of Revelation just does the same as Frantic Inventory, but
Well, it costs 4 mana. It costs twice as much.
More expensive.
That's
a
problem.
Yeah.
Interesting. Shock here. Shock here is nice.
Again here. Yeah, I think Shock is the snap pick. It's indicating that, I mean, Matt's passed that Shock to him. No, it's going the other way. He's passing to Matt. Yeah. But it has came through some people who were taking a bit of red. So.
I definitely think I'd take the Shock here. I don't think you go back into green. Not with Hunter's Edge and Dazzling Tyraniton. You've already played around with potentially going into white. I think you really risk getting pulled into too many different lanes if you take Visionary here. Could be wrong.
It does help them ramp. The Visionary does help them ramp towards a pursued whale.
It does, but you're pivoting into what? A green blue? I mean, maybe. It's not impossible. It's really not impossible. It's a tough one. The red isn't that great. The white isn't that great. I mean, you can play a couple of different things.
You might also expect that Thornwood Falls to wheel, which would help him if he's going to do that green blue, or at least in some way.
So he's taking Visionary. He's clearly now thinking a green blue strategy, I would assume.
Yeah. The Mauler.
Mauler's alright.
Is there. I mean, Turret Auger doesn't do a huge amount. The Larcenist doesn't do a huge amount without something to give it flying or some kind of evasion.
No, don't take the black. Come on, man. Behave. You already have 4 colours going on. keep some focus. I know Devotee is nice, but come
on. I would say the Mauler's.
I think Mauler has to be the pick here. If he takes Devotee, I'm just gonna faint. Like. Yeah, he can't. Is he? Oh, please don't take Devotee, man. You can't pivot into black here. Yeah, okay, take the Mauler. Thank you.
There we are.
That's just Solidarity, by the way. We talked about that before.
Yeah, we did. It's a strong
card. It does seem to be in green here.
Yeah,
Truffle Snap's good.
Yeah, I would go for the Truffle Snap over the Badge of Solidarity here. And I feel bad about it, because Solidarity is a much stronger card, but you can't guarantee he's going to be in white.
Yeah, I think you have to take those white cards out, yeah.
So it looks like he's looking for green-blue now. He's got 12 cards in the deck after the pack.
Yeah, that's my only concern here, is that I actually think what he's got here looks good, but with such slim numbers of cards, you don't have a lot of space to bring up more Deadwood. And this is a pack full of Deadwood, which is not what you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, green-blue cards are the only thing worth taking. Well, neither of them are really worth taking. And Valorous Steed would be just laughing at me right now if I was in his seat, just saying, yeah, he's looking white.
Yeah, I mean, do you take Valorous Steed and accept that you might have to give up the green and go back to white? I don't know. Wishcoin Crab is such a mediocre card. I think I'd take the Steed here.
Yeah, you can seem really deliberate as well.
You'd just be sad if you have to play that crab.
I think I would pick Skyscanner here. I would snap Skyscanner off straight away here. It'll go in whichever deck you
Right, exactly. At this point, you need playable cards for your deck.
Yeah.
Skyscanner's a good card. You can play it, take it, be done. Because you had too many very difficult decisions in this pack about what colour you're going into.
And that helps, and if he does need a splash, it's going to help with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to splash here. I don't think. Bad.
No.
No real fixing either. Truffle snout, that's nice.
Truffle Snout? Yeah, another Truffle Snout's not going to do any harm.
Truffle snout's like an okay card.
So the deck's starting to come. He's got 3 cards out of the last 3 picks, I think. So,
Yeah,
what
is
the deck?
ditching the tone? I don't know. No, maybe not. Thinking about it.
I mean, he knows it's not the best card, but
Like, it's worth pointing out as
you give it
well
a
that
whirl.
like there's cards like Reign of Revelation in here, which are not amazing, and Frantic Inventory, which you probably don't want to play either. If you're not playing multiple copies of
I think I'd take the short sword here. I like the sniper,
Spellstone.
but went for the short sword. It goes well with Tyrannodon, goes okay with the Sky Scanner, and it's colourless.
That's true. I like the short sword. Actually, you're right. God, I wish you'd taken that
Snuff, yeah.
dowsing Tyraniton all those turns ago instead of what did he take? He took a magma. That was it. He took a magma.
Yeah, Magma.
What do we get here?
Thornwood
Yeah,
Falls,
I mean,
which wheeled,
yeah,
like I said it might.
which is nice. I guess.
I think that was the pack that made him decide to do blue-green.
How would you be feeling at this point, man? Like,
I think I'd be feeling a lot better than I was a few picks ago, put it that way.
I'd be glad. Oh, he's finally picked up his first black card. Why not? Complete Wooburg. Oh no, he is
Yeah.
gonna take the white card. Okay, the Wooburg.
Yeah. So if we go back and have a
Yeah,
look
let's
at
see
the
what's going
table,
on.
we might be able to see if anything's changed in
Yeah.
any of the other seats.
Right. So that was an interesting
Yeah.
pack two. We come back to the table. We see
Yeah.
that obviously Gareth has moved into green blue, which we witnessed. Not a lot of other major movers in the table. Dan ditched his blue. David ditched his white and moved into pure blue. Table stuck roughly with where it started.
Yeah, like a couple of people have solidified the colours, and you see there's still a lot of green getting picked on the table. So I think this pack's going to be really interesting to see what green Gareth can pick up. Hopefully, he's going to get plenty of blue cards coming through because there's not a huge amount of blue getting picked, and that might just seem through to getting a cohesive
Yeah,
deck
it's gonna
together.
be interesting. I think most of the cards he's got going are good enough and they're decent. I think your risk here is just, particularly with Matt passing to him now, it's just not finding the quality of cards that you want.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting. This ideal draft for him now is going to open by picking 4 or 5 good green cards, and then some blue cards after that. Well, just take advantage of who's passing to him, right? But
yeah. I mean, if he just takes the first couple of good green cards and then he takes blue cards after that, he'll probably be fine. But we just need to see the right things open and the right things taken.
let's go and find out how it goes.
Yeah,
Sweet.
let's have a look.
Okay, so some interesting options in pack 3. The Quirion Dryad sticks out as something that synergizes with what he's got going on. Fabled Passage is not terrible if he wants to go into a splash.
Yeah, I think I prefer the Quirion Dryad here because if you look at his curve, he's not really got anything at the 2. He's got the Duras and Tyrannodon, and if you can pick another one of them, that'd be great. But the Quirion Dryad is another pretty good pick there. I really like that when you're in a green-white deck and you've just got a couple of green cards, lots of white cards, and you play it on turn 2 and just grows out of proportion really fast. But yeah, need to 2-drop. You need 2 drops in this format to block with if you're not attacking. You could look at the Trouble Snout there, but he's already got 3 of those. And yeah, no, I would definitely go for the Dryad here.
So I like Truffle Snout, but I think it's worth remembering that most of the time it's a 3-mana 3/3. Like it's fine. It's okay. We see it all the time because it's one of Green's better 3 draws, but don't take over the Quirion.
Definitely would have went for the Dryad, and here I think I'd be going for that Snare Spinner again. Just have a 2-drop as a really good blocker, especially for the opponent's playing with flyers.
I think Gareth's risk here is that his deck is slow. He needs to stabilize that early game.
Yeah.
Man. I'd take the Snare Spinner too. I don't think I'd take another.
Snare Spinner. He's highlighted Rowan Ghostlight, which I think is probably his second pick out of here. I'm not a huge fan of Jessica Elder.
Look at all those 3-drops and 4-drops, man.
I know.
Curve is just gonna be.
Want the Snare Spinner? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's just playing up for the camera. I don't know what it is, but I would have snapped off that
Yeah,
Sled
I would
Skelet at
have
that
too,
point.
man. I would have too. And he's taking the sniper prior. It's like, no, I need more big creatures. I need more expensive
Yeah.
cards.
You know, with all that
One
one
card
card
ramp
of
that
ramp he's got.
starts on 3 mana as well, by the way, so it takes it from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
And the 5 drops for double blue pips. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. What have we got here?
Pride Magna
Prime
Bust, I
Mark and
think.
another 3 drop. I don't know.
It's a good card,
Yeah.
but you know, you're gonna want to drop that truffle snout that
Oh,
he's just picked up for it.
no.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I once played 5 moles. That was pretty bad. I think I'd be feeling pretty bad about playing 4.
Yeah,
What's
excavation mole, I
that?
think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Excavation
it's
mole.
not good. Playing that many 3 mana 3/3s, it's just bad, man. There's a critical mass, but there's just too many.
Yeah. I mean, some cards you're more than happy to have as many of as you can. Scorching Dragonfire, Shock, things like that. Even some creatures will get there. The Dragon Tyrannodon, I'd be quite happy to play
I'll play
5 or 6 of them in
22
deck.
shocks. It's
But
fine. But maybe not 22 truffle snaps.
yeah.
Wait, is he
As
gonna
much as
take
I like
the
Hawk.
Caravanner? I'm so
Just messing
confused.
with it
What's
now.
his plan here? Well, he's got a green card.
Wild Scourge.
Is he considering pivoting to red, green?
Blues.
But the green is so.
Yeah. There's not because we know that he's wanting blue here. We know that he's expecting to see blue here rather.
You would, wouldn't you? And Wild Scourge is the way to go here. This is a good card. Take that. I like that. You can play it as a 2-drop because you won't have any other 2-drops.
Glide Master.
That is a 2-drop. Take, please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Creature,
I
go.
kind of. Do you know what? I mean, I wouldn't take it over Glide Master, but I wouldn't be that unhappy taking Wall of Runes in his deck. Actually, observation.
Yeah. I think I'd probably Glide Master, and then I think Swiftwater Cliffs comes third, but
Yes.
quite a way down third.
I'd agree with you as well.
Because if you played that, you might be able to play a bit of red splash and take some of the better red cards out of his sideboard.
Caravan is just such an interesting choice. I wonder if he is
But,
considering splashing red for stuff.
Who knows what he's
Yeah,
thinking at this
not
point,
us, that's
let's
for
be honest.
sure. That's for sure. Tide Skimmer, I mean, sure. How many flying creatures do you have? The 2 Ghost Lights and the Glide Master. Sure. I mean, it's a 4 mana 2/3 flyer. It's fine. There's not a lot of options in this pack.
Yeah, I mean, the only other option is the Megalodon, and that's not doing a huge amount at this point. He's got big stuff already that's more impactful.
Don't know how I'd be feeling at this point. Not great, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, at least we get to see what deck he puts together, and we'll be following round 1 as well next week. So when next week's video come out, we'll be looking at how his first round goes and see how he
I
fares.
take Wall of Runes here. Easy. Wall of Runes. Just a desperate attempt to not get murdered at the start of the game.
Yeah, I think it's...
That's the
I
name
think
of the
it's
game
playable.
here.
It's not great, but yeah, it does what he needs to.
His deck, he just needs to not take too much pressure the first few turns. So that when he's playing Truffle Snout after Truffle Snout, then he actually has something to stabilise into.
Yeah, it is worth pointing out at this point that Gareth is actually a very, very good drafter. You know, anybody watching at home who doesn't know will maybe think that he doesn't have a clue what he's doing here, but I'm sure he does have a clue. He's probably got very good reasons. We'll be talking to him in a little bit to see what his thoughts were as he was drafting, but he generally is.
I think the difficulty is, I think sometimes when you're a good drafter and you're thinking about the table and you're thinking about what's coming up and what potentially open in the future, you can kind of think yourself into circles sometimes. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Empath Golem is not the most exciting card to see. I mean, it's not the fastest format in the world. If you play another deck that is not playing a really aggressive game plan, you're going to be okay. But if we compare this to, say, Joe's deck that we saw last week, I think Joe's deck would cause Gareth a lot of problems.
Yeah. It's... And that's what we saw with Joe's deck when he faced up against some blue-green or tempo decks, which were dirtling and getting value late game, which would be good in some formats. It was just ran over by the red-white decks.
That would be my fear
in green
here,
white decks.
is that you risk just getting run over by stuff.
Again, just not getting those colours that he needs right near the end. And he should be getting decent blue stuff here, but it just looks like it's been a really weak pack for blue, which is
I
really
think he's
big.
considering putting the red back in at this point, which kind of makes some level of sense.
Yeah, he doesn't have many picks left. Frost Breath seems good here.
Yeah, Silent Dash just too expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not doing enough. Really.
Yeah, I think
Don't
no,
blame him.
you might end
Don't
up
blame him
playing
for
it.
that one.
It's not what you wanted,
And if he does end up splashing, it's immune to
which is nice.
being Mana
I
Sphere.
take that towards the cliffs.
Yeah, take the cliffs. Yeah, and then see what your options are like
I'll
when
go and take the
you're.
cliffs.
Oh no, he didn't. Oh,
You
there's
could
one there.
have two cliffs.
But then you can at least take it and see what your
Yeah,
options are
could
like
have
when
had
you
two
deck
cliffs
build them.
there, which would have made splashing all three colours considerably more feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take the best of all three.
Super, super interesting. I'm really inclined to see how he puts these together into a pile.
Yeah, and there's definitely a deck in there somewhere, but it's exactly how you balance everything, how you balance the slash and how you balance the removal and all this stuff that will
Absolutely.
affect how
Wow,
things
let's
are
go
done.
to the table, see how everyone else did.
So back to table, not very much has changed. The only little tweak that we can see here is Sam's picked up white, and he picked up a quite a good white rare in his pack. He got Bazoo's Lieutenant, which we'll be seeing in a second. But yeah, I think Gareth just about got there. And we've got his deck list to look at here. Do you want to take us through how you think his deck list looks as he's settled on it?
Yeah, it is interesting. I wonder. I don't know about splashing for the Caravan and the Scorch and Dragonfire. I can appreciate with the options available to him why he's done that. I think deck's okay, if I'm being honest. I don't
Yeah.
think it's great. I think it was difficult to get a lane and it was difficult to settle on a colour. And I think that's why you're seeing three colours with Silent Dart and Forgotten Sentinel in there alongside Skyscanner.
Yeah, he should be able to punch through some damage with those the Roman Ghost Lights. You know that will be some good tempo plays if he gets there, and I think that's the key point with this format. If he manages to get to 5 mana, you will be able to start to turn it around, but it's not always
Yeah,
possible.
I think there's a few difficulties he's going to face. I think he hasn't got a ton of early game. Most of his plays start on turn 3, so he's
Yeah.
going to start most games on the back foot. I worry that cards like Truffle Snout might not be strong enough to stabilise, but that is very dependent on who you're playing. And then I'm concerned that his bigger cards like Ghost Light and Frost Breath, for example, trying to play that tempo game, if you're
Yeah.
constantly playing from behind, it can be difficult to use that tempo effectively.
Yeah.
Um, so we will see. He has got a really strong rare in Pursued Whale, and playing some chunky bodies in the middle of the game can cause some decks a whole world of problems if they can't remove them. So
Mm-hmm.
stall the board, play big cards, play flyers. I don't think it's a bad deck, but I think he'll have drafted much better decks at this time.
Yeah, without a doubt. It just doesn't quite get there, and the main reason he splashes didn't have enough playables in these first two colours, so that's why he ended up in that splash colour.
Which is what we said was the concern in around pick 2 as he switched to blue green. We kind of said
Yeah.
the risk here is that you just don't get enough playables by the end of the thing, and that's going to cause
Yeah.
problems. But there you go.
Looking at Joe, his is a black-white deck. He first picked it in Indulgent Patrician. He got a second one in the draft as well, but he's also managed to get that Massacre Worm. Really scary creature. It does some ridiculous stuff if you allow it to, especially if the opponent's in one of these really low ground aggro decks. It's going wide. Anything with 2 toughness, it just takes out and it hits the opponent and it sticks around. So it does everything. It's one of those scariest cards in the set. That looks like it should be able to get there. He's got a decent amount of removal in there. Some of it not the best he could get, but it's still decent. He's got an Eliminate in there, which I really like. So yeah, I like the chances of this deck. I can't wait to see it in play. I can't wait to see some of the destruction that Massacre Worm does. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there's some good removal in here. There's some good cards. Massacre Worm is nice. Again, slightly worried that the kind of middle of the game cards are potentially not quite good enough. But again, it's core. Everything's powered down. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
And we've got Sam. He's ended up splashing white in his mainly red-green deck. In his pack 3, he picked up some white cards. Anything that he's like in this deck here?
Yeah, I quite like a look at a lot of what this deck's doing. I like Rada, I like the Spark Hunter Mastercore. Colossal Dreadmore is always a strong card. We've got a Swift Response hanging around. And he's got some good fixing here. If you look at the lands he's got down at the bottom, I think make it quite easy to splash that Baz's Lieutenant. I think it's a good deck. I think it's got a lot going on for it. And it'll be interesting to see how it does.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been wowed by Spark Hunter Master Core yet. I know it can be good in the right opportunities. And, it's a 3-mana 3/4, but it does cost you a card to discard. It's an interesting one, I think. It'll be interesting to see if you get any value out of it.
Yeah, I think the 3 mana make it indestructible is exceptionally powerful. Either to force your way through your opponents or to just block them for a long time. I think it's a
Yeah,
card. I quite like it.
it's that threat of activation. As it's attacking, you have the option to activate it if it's profitable for you, and the opponent won't want to block that because if they block, you'll activate it. If they don't block, you won't activate it, and you've still got your mana for something else.
Yep, it's a good card. I like what it does. I think my only concern for this deck would be looking at some of those double pips in the higher figures. The double pip on 3 and Rider, maybe mana issues, but he's got good fixing, so we'll see.
Yeah. Looking at David, I think it's a deck that Gareth was wanting to put together. It's just doing all these really good blue green stuff. He's got a low skill collateral. He's got the Juwali, I think is how you pronounce that name.
Yep.
Joriel.
Card.
Yeah, it's really good. 2,000 Tyrannodons. He's got a playset of frantic inventories. So yeah, it's Enthralling Holds a really good card as well. That'll just kind of nab any of the opponent's good creatures. It's doing what you need to.
Yeah, I think this deck actually has a lot going on here. It seems a very consistent game plan. And it kind of settled on early and just got a lot of the pieces he wanted for it. As you pointed out, some strong cards like Dazzling Pteranodon. It's also got 4 Frantic Inventories, 2 Rousing Reeds to go with that Coatl, and with Jolray, if we pronounce that correctly. I like a lot of what's going on here. Cards like the Training as well. He's not going to have any difficulty triggering Jolray. And she can run away with the game very easily if you can keep her triggered.
Yeah, if you just keep and it's got the activated ability at the bottom as well. So Jolrael will make every creature have power and toughness, base power and toughness be equal to the number of cards in your hand. So when you're potentially drawing 4 cards of the frantic inventory, and then you can activate that, that's going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I agree. I like this.
Next we've got Dan. Dan was the winner of our previous draft. He has another really solid Gruul deck, which is the exact same colours he played last time. But looking at some of his picks here, I don't blame him for sticking to his guns with the Gruul.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff again all over the place. Scorching Dragonfire, Shock, you got some decent removal, decent other cards in Ranger's Guile, Hunter's Edge. You've got some Truffle Styles, Visionaries, Magma. It's just good stuff across the board. Gareth Unleashed as well, just is putting things over the top there. I think this deck is really quite scary.
Yeah, it's got bombs, it's got removal. There's not really much more to say about it, really. It can interact and play stuff in the early game. Just it's exactly what you need in the format, and it's probably going to do well.
Yeah, I wonder whether things like 2 Battle Rattle Shamans are not the most exciting thing in the world, and Unleashed Fury I don't particularly love. I know you like it more than me, but I'm not a
Yeah,
big fan of it. Um, but I think it's a good deck. I think it has a good chance. I think I like a lot of it.
yeah. Looking at Matt, Matt, we saw some questionable passes from Matt, especially pack 1.
Mm.
There were some really good cards that seem to fit in his archetype, but the blue red is a really good archetype. He start with the uncommon, the experimental overload. He's got some removal in there. He's got some payoffs. It's doing exactly what it wants to do. I can't spot any of the Spellgorger weeds in there, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah,
apart from that,
any. I don't know where those ended up. If we opened any.
yeah, I didn't spot any in anybody's deck, so I don't know if those maybe just non-opened. But it's a bit of a shame because when you play the blue red spells, that you kind of expect to see 1 or 2.
You would.
But it's what happens. It's part of the variance of the game, and that's what makes it fun.
Absolutely, I think this deck is good. There's a few bits that I kind of wonder about. So, I see things like the Unleashed Fury. and the 2 Sure Strikes, and I kind of wonder how he ended up. I'm sure he passed the Scorching Dragonfire at one point.
Yeah, he did.
A ton of sense to me.
You passed 2 actually.
Yeah, I'm really curious what he picked over Scorching Dragonfire, because it's just exactly what you want in a deck like this. But either way, looks good. I like what it's doing.
Dave, there's another one of our new drafters, just like Matt is. He is drafting a deck which is a lot like Joe's. So 2 Indulgent Patricians at the start there. They were actually sat right next to each other, so it's interesting to see that they both actually got some decent decks out of what they were drafting. You know, they both drafted fine decks here. Just when they're right on each other's shoulders, you don't really expect it to work out that well. But he's got the removal there. He's got the cards to go with the Indulgent Patrician.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
There's a play set of Indulgent Patricians between the 2 of them. But we want to play a play set of 3 mana 1/4 flyers.
I think I would, because then you can base your whole game around them.
And you would just bank on gaining 3, draining 3.
Yeah, so the benefit of the black-white deck is the Indulgent Patrician. If you don't have an Indulgent Patrician, it's a lot worse. The life gain synergies just aren't really there. The payoff is Indulgent Patrician. A little bit of other things. That the Silver Smoked Ghoul is also a good payoff, but the Patrician's really where you want it to be. And if you can get 4 of them, you know, if you need a deck to make it work, if you need a card to make the deck work, and you only have 1, you might never draw the entire draft. You know, that happens.
No, absolutely.
Whereas if you get 4, you're almost guaranteed to draw 1 every game.
That's very true. Second question. So he's got 2 Archfiend's Vessels here. Does he actually have any ways to cast it from his graveyard? Or is he just playing it as a 1/1 lifelinker?
I can't see any way for him to cast it from his graveyard.
No, I can't.
But he might have picked it up earlier and hoping to see the your animation spells, but it didn't come. Shame, because he's also got a Gloom Sword, which would really work well with that. But I think it's a strong deck nonetheless.
Absolutely. By the way, Gloom Sower, what's the deal in a set with white-black having gain 3 life as a synergy, and this card costs 7, and it makes you gain 2 life?
I think that's because it would be a bit too powerful if it gained you 3.
Maybe it's a common,
basically.
but I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just, you know, making you work for that gain 3 life, because the gain 3 life is tough to get. The Indulgent Patrician only really gains you 1. You can put a dub on it, and that makes it really, really good. But, you know, actually gaining 3 life, you've got to work towards it, and maybe that was the idea.
Maybe. Should we have a look at our final deck?
Yeah, so we've got Lewis. Lewis is owner of a local game store. He is owner of Galvin Point Games, based in Darlington.
Lovely stuff.
It's been open for coming up to 2 years now, I think. So he is a very, very good Magic player. He's played on the Pro Tour. He's done fairly well on the Pro Tour as well. I'm sure he will agree with us there. And he's got a really solid black-green mid-range deck here.
Yep, I agree with that completely. 3 West for Darkness, Hunter's Edge, so a lot of what I'd see, Death Grim Pallid, Fetid Imps, Twin Blade Assassin times 2. Great deck. Lots of removal, lots of mid-range.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So I'll go and speak to Gareth. I'll see what he thinks of how his deck went. If you sort the parents out, and then I'll meet you back in a moment to do the highlights of the next round.
See you then.
So hi Gareth, we enjoyed watching your draft there. How do you think it went? Yeah, I mean, you talked about the signals. I've seen the table and I've seen what everyone else has drafted, and we were following along the draft with you. And I have to say, the signals that you were getting past didn't really reflect what was going on, so it was a hard seat to draft, I think. We personally thought that you took a while to get into your seat. You were doing the thing where you keep open early, so you can make sure you're in the right seat, and making sure that if you open a bomb late, then you can still play it. But that just seemed to backfire a little bit for you, which it happens, and it's drafting, it's part of the fun, isn't it? Yeah, I saw you seeing if you wanted a third colour, deciding against a third colour, changing your secondary colour quite a lot. It was really interesting to watch, and I can't wait to see round one, which will be next week. So we'll be releasing the video next week, and we'll be watching how you get on in that first match. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Good luck with the games.
Right, round one. We'll see Gareth playing his first match against David. He'll be playing his white-black life game deck, so it'll be interesting to see how Gareth's deck gets on, especially after we spent the last hour slagging it off. Lewis will be playing David. Matt will be playing Dan, and Sam will be playing Joe. So we're excited to see you next time, and we'll have the highlights of Gareth versus David. See if the light game can beat the, according to us, pile of blue-green rubbish.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at that next week. We'll be out on next Tuesday, so around the same time next week. If you haven't seen the videos already, we've got an M21 draft, which was available for the last 3 or 4 weeks that you can see here. And also, we have a Alan Kett Remastered draft, which I did, and I've talked about it and talked about my feelings about how that went, and you should be able to see that one here. If you give us a like and a subscribe, that'll be really good. It means you get the notifications for next week, and you'll be able to help support us a little bit and help us get those YouTube points. But we can't wait to see you again next week.
Take care.